reason number 33 to get a Nissan. The cold. Because winter isn't done with us yet. Good thing the 2026 Nissan Rogue was built to conquer all conditions. With intelligent all-wheel drive, standard heated front seats, heated steering wheel, and heated mirrors, you can leave the worst of winter out in the cold. Lease the 2026 Nissan Rogue S starting at 0.4% for up to 36 months. Includes a 0.5% loyalty rebate for qualifying Nissan customers. Until March 2nd on approved credit. Conditions apply. Details at Nissan.
Robyn Flynn filling in for Elias Makos with you until 12 p.m. We are monitoring a power outage in St. Leonard, right around Lac Oredaire. There was 2,100 addresses affected. They were able to restore power to about 600 of those. So now 1,400 still without power. Their website, Hydro-Quebec's website, still says 10:15 as the estimated restoration time. It is obviously 10:22 right now, so they're a little behind schedule. We will keep monitoring the situation, though, and update you as we learn more. The Quebec government has announced a temporary suspension of its refugee sponsorship program until June of 2025. Immigration Minister Jean-François Roberge says the moratorium aims to meet immigration targets and reduce backlogs. But critics warn the move could harm Quebec's reputation and potentially lead to family separations. Patrice Brunet is an immigration lawyer who joins us now. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, Robyn.
So how might this moratorium impact refugees and their families, both in the short and the long term? So the suspension is until June, but could this have long-lasting effects?
Yeah, it could have long-lasting effects. It also sends a message that the Quebec government is continuing to increasingly close its doors to immigration. So it's continuing to send a message out there that the Quebec is not necessarily a welcome destination to those who want to come to Quebec. We've heard over the past weeks and months that the Quebec government suspended programs, restricted immigration. This is another small program, but important program. The collective sponsorship program for refugees is very important, and it has a neutral effect on society because it's really groups of people who undertake to financially be responsible for people outside who have been recognized refugee status, so their lives are in danger, and we're bringing them over to reunite them with either their community or their family. So the effect is neutral, but it's a game of numbers for the Quebec government at this point. They want to reduce their numbers for 25, 26, 27.
Now, this could lead to, obviously, family separations. You specifically mentioned a lot of the times it is families sponsoring their family members to come here. So I guess net, I'm trying to understand the benefit. They're saying it's about the backlog, but if they're trying to reduce their target, this doesn't mean they're going to be letting in other immigrants. And I guess I'm just trying to figure out what the main goal here, what the strategy is.
We're as immigration lawyers, we're also scratching our heads regarding strategy, aside from reducing numbers and playing into the PQ's political agenda, because there's going to be an election a couple of years from now, or less than 2 years from now, in Quebec, and the front runner right now is the Parti Québécois, and they have announced that they want to reduce immigration targets down to 30,000 per year. Next year will be just a little bit over 60,000. So that's going to be a very hot political item. And, immigration is a very complex topic. It polarizes the population, especially those that don't understand all the ins and outs of it. We are an immigration society. Most of us have come from, or our ancestors came from elsewhere. So people are divided over immigration, especially those who don't understand all the complexities around it. And you're talking about human people. So
Yeah, I know there's been recent polls, too, that I was actually quite surprised by to see how much support there is for reducing immigration, not just here in Quebec, but across Canada. I believe it was a Nanos research poll, or maybe it was Angus Reid that came out recently. And I remember being surprised, thinking, that seems really, really strange, especially when we talk about, that there's a labor shortage. It seems net a great idea to bring some more people in to fill those roles. But, public perception seems to be less immigrants better, which is unfortunate. But as long as that's the public, sentiment, politicians are going to continue to make decisions like this, which, curry favor rather than make sense, right?
Well, Robyn, I mean, we have to be careful in Quebec not to have the immigration issues leaking into our public debates here in Quebec, even those from outside of Canada. Let me just reframe this. In the United States, there is an immigration problem because of the southern border with the Mexicans and Latin Americans crossing the border, thousands of them crossing every day into the USA, and not always for the right reasons. We don't have that problem in Canada. In the rest of Canada, the federal government has loosened their immigration policy to accept up to 500,000 people per year. And that perhaps was a mistake. It's a lot of people. I've been practicing immigration law for about over 30 years, and it's always been about more or less 250,000 people that we would admit in Canada. And since COVID, they've increased it to 500,000. So that creates a stress on societies that welcome those people in Toronto and Vancouver and the other big cities. But in Quebec, we've always maintained it at about 40, 50,000. We didn't go to 100,000. We didn't double it. So we have to be careful not to have those tensions outside of Quebec leak into our public debate. I don't think there's a problem in Quebec. We're not admitting too many people because we haven't really opened the floodgates on immigration in Quebec. But it's being used in the public discourse to prepare the political terrain for the CAQ and the PQ. And other parties are sitting on the sideline in Quebec on that debate.
Are there any alternatives currently for Quebecers who are wanting to support refugees during the suspension of this particular program?
Well, the program is suspended until June, so maybe it will be resumed after June. So no, there are no other options. They want to reduce the numbers, not eliminate it. And those people who may have a legitimate claim for refugee status outside of the country will just have to sit on their chair and wait.
Okay. Patrice Brunet is an immigration lawyer. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.